Snip, snip. Man carries out 34 circumcisions across the country, causing assault occasioning actual bodily harm and assault of a child, and also administering prescription-only medicine when not an appropriate practitioner. PSPOs and CPNs, a system left wide open to abuse by bullying first enforcement goons and councils unqualified to legally deal with them. Kent Police Constable shares racist meme in WhatsApp group, and his defence is that he pressed the wrong button. We're going to take a little look at why that's a load of BS. Ex-Gwent Police Constable who bit and slapped people at a pub in Cardiff receives his misconduct hearing outcome. And Police Scotland are cleared of wrongdoing after giving a chronic alcoholic a drink before arresting him, only to discover him unresponsive in the back of their van. This and more coming up. Don't forget, these reports are daily, Monday to Friday. Please remember to subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any future uploads. And if you appreciate the work I do, please consider joining the channel Patreon for as little as just £3 per month to help me continue providing this content. Hello, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, innies, outies and in-betweeners. My name's Dan and welcome back to another PAP Reports. It is Monday, the 21st of September, 2020. On Thursday, the 17th of September, 54-year-old Mohammed Siddiqui from Hockley in Birmingham was charged with carrying out 34 circumcisions on children across England, causing assault occasioning bodily harm and assault of a child, and administering a prescription-only medicine when not an appropriate practitioner. The procedures are said to have been carried out in private homes across Hampshire, the West Midlands, West Mercia, Thames Valley, London, Dorset and Wiltshire between 2015 and 2018. Hampshire Police said in a statement that this investigation related to an individual's possible criminal actions whilst undertaking circumcision procedures and is not concerned with the practice of circumcision itself. Now, the reports that I've seen don't actually say whether Siddiqui was a GP, a surgeon or any other kind of medically trained professional able to carry out the procedures, and he was charged with administering a prescription-only medicine when not an appropriate practitioner. So it could be that he's not medically trained, in which case the police should certainly be concerned with the practice of the circumcision itself. I think that the parents of the boys who were circumcised should also be facing some kind of investigation for allowing it to happen. After all, they're now complicit in the facilitation of the crimes. Siddiqui has been bailed to appear at Westminster Magistrates Court on November the 6th, no doubt for a plea hearing before being listed for a trial or sentencing at Crown Court. I will, of course, keep you updated on any additional information or outcome. Now, I wonder how many people watching this video have made the mistake of leaving their mobile phone on a bus or a train. I've done it a few times. Over £1,500 worth of mobile phones I've lost over the years due to using it, putting it between my legs or next to me on the bus or train and then just forgetting about it or falling asleep and rushing to get off before I miss my stop. But I'm pretty sure that if you had a weapon, you wouldn't be leaving that lying around anywhere, especially if you're trained and besides your weapon would normally be concealed and holstered or attached to you with something like a bungee cord. Well, you would think so anyway, but in this case, Dominic Raabs, protection officer, who on a flight into the UK from the US left his loaded Glock on a seat of a United Airways plane at London Heathrow Airport on Friday. It's alleged that the idiot took off his holster with the weapon in and put it on a seat while he sorted out passports ready to disembark the flight at the terminal. Metropolitan Police were called after a cleaner found the weapon in the holster, but police were stood down after they realised it belonged to Raabs security. A Metropolitan Police spokesperson said, "We are aware of the incident on flight into the UK on Friday the 18th of September and we are taking this matter extremely seriously. The officer involved has since been removed from operational duties whilst an internal investigation into the circumstances is taking place." Now, this isn't the first time a weapon has been left lying around by security forces. February, David Cameron's bodyguard did a similarly stupid thing and left his weapon in a plane toilet, along with passports belonging to him and David Cameron. And this is to be one of the worst things any weapon carrier can do, along with allowing your weapon to be taken from you. But I'm sure there will be little more than a slap on the wrist without the potential being taken into account. Because potential, obviously, is only for people like you and me. For example, when I was caught growing weed, even though there were no fully grown plants at the time, they did me for a potential yield that the plants could have delivered. So I do hope that in this case, the potential for a catastrophic outcome is taken into account. I also hope that Raab is self-isolated for 14 days. Wouldn't want to have another report on the government official sticking their fingers up to the public thinking they can do what the hell they like, would we? Public space protection orders. We've spoken about them here on the channel before when a woman in Grimsby was targeted by some enforcement goons in a graveyard while she was putting flowers on her mother's grave for the anniversary of her passing. Well, it appears that finally some people are taking note about how unjustified and malicious these PSPOs are and the people enforcing them, after a number of petty incidents deemed as antisocial have been highlighted. The Manifesto Club, who say they are at the forefront of challenging the hyper-regulation of public spaces, produce cutting-edge research, change policy and work at the front line to defend those whose liberties have been affected, who take on vetting, speech codes, leafleting bans, PSPOs and on-the-spot fines and other key erosions of public freedoms, and who say they work with homeless people, buskers, young people, dog walkers, defending them against draconian powers and busybodies. They said that overuse of the blank cheque powers has led to legal restrictions on the public in England and Wales over other minor matters such as swearing and spitting. Got to be honest, not sure why they're adding spitting in there, because that is filthy and vile, and it is something I would call someone out for myself, especially if it was anywhere near me. So that is really a antisocial issue. But the thing with PSPOs is that if councils issue a lot of fines for a certain so-called events, they can then ban activity or activities as they are deemed detrimental to local residents, along with a record 10,413 public space protection orders issued in 2019. There was also a record 8,760 community protection notices dished out, which are slightly different in that the CPNs are restrictions imposed on individuals, whereas PSPOs are restrictions on places. However, this obviously leaves the system wide open to abuse by bully enforcement goons. For example, at the beginning of September, 71-year-old OAP Bob Morland from Kent was given a community protection warning after painting a rusting Victorian fountain in Folkestone whilst he was trying to tidy it up and make it look better for local residents and visitors. The detrimental effect criteria is an unprecedented low legal test for criminal intervention, and it's made worse by minimal evidence or consultation needed to use powers, which are difficult, very difficult to appeal against in court. Much like Section 50 of the Police Reform Act, which also gets abused quite often to the fact it requires zero evidence other than the officer's word. And let's face it, officials never get anything wrong, do they? The problem we have here is that councils are taking it upon themselves to do the job of the police, but they're not qualified to police, prosecute, judge or find us guilty of anything other than something they don't agree with, and with such a low threshold for evidence, if needed at all, then the public are at major risk of being abused even more by these powers, especially as it's not even the councils running most of the enforcement goons. Figures for 2019 obtained through Freedom of Information requests by the Manifesto Club showed 8,760 CPNs were issued by 202 councils in England and Wales, up from 6,234 by just 192 councils the previous year. The largest number were for messy or eyesore gardens and neighbourhood disputes, including an artist from Barking and Dagenham, issued with a notice by a council officer who objected to her woodland-style garden. Despite Home Office guidance in 2017 not to target homelessness, 31 councils issued CPNs against acts like rough sleeping, loitering and begging. I mean, of course they did, because if you give anybody a bit of power or a way to abuse their position, they will certainly run with it without consideration, because they all think they are untouchable. Peterborough, Bradford and Hillingdon councils, which employ private companies to issue the fines, accounted for 6,365. That's 63% of on-the-spot penalties of up to £100. The Manifesto Club said that a large number were for acts like unauthorised cycling. What the hell is unauthorised cycling? Spitting, which I don't disagree with, that needs to be dealt with because it's disgusting. Swearing and idling engines. In fact, as of last week, 22 local authorities now hire private companies to enforce the PSPOs and CPNs, and the companies are paid a commission, so of course they will lie and cheat in order to issue a fine in order to get paid. Give them an inch. This is what we're fighting against more and more, people, as private companies are brought in to take over the roles that the police and local authorities should be doing themselves. Scotland's Crown Office has launched an investigation last week which will probe the death of a man in police custody in El-Kaouny. The 36-year-old man who died shortly after being arrested by Police Scotland on Friday the 18th of September. At the time of writing this report, there is no further information as to what he was arrested for, but police say they will fully cooperate with the Police Investigations and Review Commissioner probe into the death. A Police Scotland spokesperson said the Police Investigations and Review Commissioner is carrying out a Crown-directed investigation into the circumstances surrounding the death of a 36-year-old man who was taken into custody at El-Kaouny Police Station on Thursday the 17th of September 2020. Police Scotland will cooperate fully with the PIRC's inquiries. Well, that's another to add to the ever-growing list of deaths in custody or otherwise following police contact, a list that still stands at more than 5 times higher than police who have died on duty. And yet they're the ones that need protection. Detective Constable Matthew Wadhams from Kent Police has been handed a final written warning after sharing an apparent racist meme through WhatsApp to the England Police National Rugby Team WhatsApp group. The meme itself is said to have depicted a well-known figure, but police have chosen not to disclose who that person is, and I've not been able to find out either. In his misconduct hearing, the panel heard how Wadhams sent the image after a night out in January, unaware of what it contained. Yeah, because images of memes don't show up on chat, do they? Oh, hang on a minute. They fucking do, don't they? 29-year-old Wadhams apologised to the panel for the stupid mistake. However, the panel found that it did amount to gross misconduct. Chairwoman Nicola Talbot Hadley said the panel accepted he did not intend to forward the image, but added, "We are concerned about the level of intoxication that would have led to such reckless action." Even though he said he sent the image, but didn't know what was in it. That sounds to me like he admitted to knowingly sending it, but lied, of course, about knowing what was in the image, as the image would have appeared on the screen. She said Mr. Wadhams remained culpable and should have reasonably foreseen the consequences. Ms. Talbot Hadley said, "Any police officer must be mindful of the impact both for himself, others, and the wider reputation of the police. The potential of greater harm and potential of reputational damage to policing, should the image have made it into a public forum, was considerable." Mr. Wadhams said he received the meme among other images in a separate group and did not immediately realise what it was because he said he only saw a thumbnail preview. He said he intended to forward a rugby score to his fiancée, but must have pressed the wrong button. Of course. Press the wrong button, yeah? Seeing as you have to press and hold the message until it highlights, then go to the top of the app and choose between reply, star, bin, share or forward, but you pressed the wrong button. My rusty sheriff's badge, you did. What a pathetic excuse, and the panel were dumb as well for believing he didn't send it intentionally. It may have been that it was in a group of images, he couldn't have seen the full image, but even if when I look at images in batch images, I look at them all, okay, and I don't know anybody who receives a batch of images and doesn't at least look at them all before sending them on or replying. A Cumbrian police call handler was able to pocket £22,000 in wages while on suspension from her role after using police systems to research her boyfriend. 26-year-old Jenna Fowler was paid while on suspension because she denied misusing the police computers, and it took 22 months for police to investigate. Appearing at Carlisle Crown Court, Fowler of Spittal Farm, Wigton, admitted 3 data protection offences, 2 counts of obtaining personal data from the police computer system without the permission of her controller in May of last year, and 1 count of disclosing personal data, sensitive information relating to an alleged sexual offence investigation. The first 2 offences involved her researching a local known offender, Maverick Charters, who turned out to be her boyfriend. The third offence involved her sending a screenshot via Facebook Messenger to a man she knew who was under suspicion of a police complaint log after a woman called up to allege a sexual offence of some kind. Stephen Reid, defending for Fowler, said she is clearly remorseful for what she's been done. Recorder Nicholas Clark QC told Fowler, "You were well aware the information could only be accessed for proper police purposes. You chose to begin with a relationship with a criminal one who had been and was in trouble with the police, and you looked him up on the police computer. Fowler also admitted possessing cannabis and now runs a dog-sitting business. She was given fines and associated costs totalling £4,570. Personally, I think she should have to pay back some of those wages she was paid, because she clearly lied when she denied the offences and she got paid. We spoke on the 16th of September about Joshua Cavill, an ex-Gwent police constable who was facing a misconduct hearing after being accused of 1. On a date between November and December 2018 whilst off duty in the brewhouse licensed premise in Cardiff, bit the left arm of PCA, causing reddening and bruising to her arm. Such conduct constituted an unlawful assault. 2. On a date between November and December 2018 whilst off duty in a brewhouse licensed premise in Cardiff, bit the left arm of PCB, causing reddening and bruising to his arm. Such conduct constituted an unlawful assault. 3. On the 6th of March 2019, whilst off duty at the Live Lounge licensed premises in Cardiff in the company of PCC, bit the right ear of PCC on 2 occasions, causing pain and redness to the skin. Such conduct constituted an unlawful assault. 4. On the 6th of March 2019, whilst off duty at the Live Lounge licensed premises in Cardiff, slapped Mr. K to his face, causing reddening and discomfort to his face and left ear. For this common assault, he received a formal police caution on the 7th of March. 5. On the 6th of March 2019, whilst off duty outside the Live Lounge licensed premises in Cardiff, he 1. Ran away from security staff and police officers who had been called to the premises to deal with the assault on Mr. K, and or 2. Informed the police officers that he was in possession of a Glock handgun, and or 3. Was obstructive once he was arrested for common assault by refusing to comply with instructions and struggling with the officers, and or 4. Sought to escape from police officers who had arrested him. As a result of his conduct, he was further arrested for being drunk and disorderly on the 7th of March 2019 and received a police caution for the criminal offence of being drunk and disorderly in a public place. Well, the hearing has concluded, and as I'm sure most of you have already guessed, the fact he is referred to as ex-Gwent Police, even in the report before the conclusion of the hearing, you will no doubt have already guessed that had ex-Gwent Police Constable Joshua Cavill still been serving, he would have been sacked. But seeing as he already left the force after being found by the panel to have committed gross misconduct in that he breached the standards covering authority, respect and courtesy and discreditable conduct. Cavill failed to attend the hearing himself, so it was held in his absence, where the panel decided that he should also be placed on the College of Policing's barred list. 27-year-old Thomas Hollis, the deputy leader of Nottinghamshire Council, is in hot water after being released from police custody after being arrested just after 9 p.m. on Thursday the 17th of September after police say they saw a vehicle travelling at speed in Outram Street, Sutton in Ashfield. Thomas Hollis, who represents Huthwaite and Brierley on Ashfield District Council, was arrested shortly after. The 27-year-old has since been charged with driving without due care and attention, obstructing police and resisting arrest. Mr. Hollis of Windmill Close, Sutton in Ashfield, has been released on conditional bail and is due to appear at Nottingham Magistrates Court on the 5th of February. The council, of course, have declined to comment at this stage. Back north of the border now, as Police Scotland officers have been cleared of any wrongdoing after giving a man they were arresting vodka before he then died in the back of their police van. 34-year-old Stuart Clooney was given a notice of prosecution by PC's Thomas Kroll and Ross Norsworthy after they'd been called to an incident in his flat involving his partner. Clooney, who was known to be violent, threatened to kick off unless police gave him vodka, which they did in a bid to diffuse the situation. Strange in itself, seeing as they always ask if you've had a drink when you get to custody and can't interview you for some time after you last drunk. Clooney, who was said to have had severe drink and drug problems, lay down on the van floor, slurring his words. By the time they got to St Leonard's police station, Clooney was found unresponsive, so paramedics were called, but Clooney died. I'm not sure where the safeguarding measures were while he was in the van. They should have noticed him unresponsive before they got back to the station. But hey, what do I know? A fatal accident inquiry held at Edinburgh Sheriff Court ruled the cause of his death in June 2018 to be drug and alcohol intoxication and an alcohol-related liver disease. Intoxication that was contributed to by the police constables on scene. Sheriff Robert Fife said the decision to give him vodka to de-escalate a potentially volatile situation was not inappropriate, and said there were no defects in working practices. Sweet. So next time you're being nicked and you want to finish your beer, simply tell the police that it's not inappropriate for them to allow you to finish your drink before them carting you off. He also ruled there had been no accident leading to Clooney's death and no precautions could reasonably have been made to prevent his passing, apart from monitoring the man properly on the way back to the station, of course. In a written ruling, Sheriff Fife said essentially the police officer made a risk assessment at the time at Mr. Clooney's demands for vodka. They were considering the safest approach to remove Mr. Clooney to the police van and detain him at St Leonard's police station. Generally, it would not be appropriate for the police to give an arrested person any alcohol. In the unusual circumstances of the present case, giving Mr. Clooney a small quantity of vodka, around 25 millilitres, to de-escalate the probability of Mr. Clooney being violent towards the officers and his partner was not inappropriate. As stated by the forensic pathologist in a post-mortem report, the central factor in Stuart Clooney's death was acute alcohol intoxication, but the other drugs detected may have further compromised his breathing and increased the risk of a sudden heart attack and his sudden death. Acute alcohol intoxication compounded by the fact police gave him more fucking alcohol. Is it just me that doesn't see how this could have been a proverbial straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak? Am I wrong? Am I not seeing something here? Let me know your thoughts in the comment, because this one's just a bit too confusing for me. Northumbria Police have publicly stated that they won't rule out fining parents who breach lockdown rules while looking for childcare. Yep, Northumbria Police are likely to fine you if you need to have your little ones looked after so you can go to work, or if you are in a situation that sees you unable to have them with you. Way to go, police. That is certainly the way to get the public on side. Due to the draconian and incredibly poorly thought out lockdown rules, relatives outside of bubbles, including grandparents, are banned from caring for children, although there has been growing backlash against this government's decision, which could see people fined £100 by police if they ask relatives to care for kids while they work. One North East councillor, Lib Dem councillor Nick Cott, has labelled the decision as bizarre. He said, "We were already concerned that the restrictions place a disproportionate burden on households, particularly for individuals who may be lonely, vulnerable or elderly. But to hit working families who rely on other family members to look after their children like this is bizarre." Collectively, the North East's councils approached the government and asked for the new rules. However, they wanted informal childcare to be allowed so that family members could care for children while they worked. Matt Hancock, however, rejected the idea, instead only permitting professional childcare that is paid for, which is really going to help those on less hours or 0 hours, or those who have lost their jobs altogether. You cretinous Bladen MP Liz Twist claimed informal healthcare was an absolute necessity to help the region's poorest people work. And Ian Lavery, MP for Wansbeck, said the move would pressure parents into making impossible decisions between family and their jobs. The Health Secretary claimed it was done to help protect grandparents from catching COVID-19. However, he since promised to look into his decision. Of course, police continue to suggest that fines are a last resort and any action would be proportionate. Okay then. Assistant Chief Constable Neil Hutchinson previously stated that the rules must be followed to help slow the spread of the virus. It is extremely important, he said, that everyone understands them and shows personal responsibility in following the restrictions. We all have a part to play in keeping each other safe. Given the many demands already faced by our local and emergency services, by adhering to the regulations, everyone can help ensure vital resources are not being diverted to situations which could be easily avoided. However, as we have previously made clear, where it is proportionate for us to do so, we will respond to people breaking the rules, with any reports we receive assessed to determine the most appropriate course of action. We will look to engage with people in the first instance, explaining the restrictions and encouraging them to follow the regulations. However, where necessary, we will take enforcement action. Haven't we heard that engage, explain, encourage and enforce before, which just got completely fucking ignored? It's official. The Metropolitan Police are a bunch of fat donut munchers. after recent released information shows that the force ordered at least 4,712 pairs of extra-large uniform trousers in 2019, some with custom donut pockets. None of them had custom donut pockets. In fact, the information obtained by the Sunday Mirror showed the Met ordered over 5,000 pairs of trousers of size 2 donuts a day, extra large, or higher. 8 pairs were leather motorcycle trousers, with 1 pair sporting a 50-inch waist. The largest pair of any of the apparel was a 12 donut a day, size 66 inches. Maybe this identifies the reason police are so content to pull out a weapon on the public these days. After all, if there's 5,000 police of at least 2 donut a day size, they would of course do whatever they can not to get into a scrap or have to chase people. Medical experts say that a person's waist measurement should be no greater than half of that person's height. And we already know that there is a number of police who are unable to go on full operational duty, being allowed to work reduced shifts due to their health. Responding to the number of extra large and above trousers ordered last year, the Met said in a statement the Metropolitan Police Service recognises the importance of officer health and well-being, both physical and mental, and officers are encouraged to stay fit and active and live a healthy lifestyle. Officers undergo fitness tests during their training and have to complete a Pass Officer Safety Training OST to a required standard to ensure they can carry out their duties safely and effectively. The fitness training, by the way, must be how fast they can get through traffic with Blues and Twos to McDonald's before they close, so they can pick up any unsold donuts. The Met also said that officers are all required to complete OST refreshers every year and that they have the ability to make use of the on-site gyms and are invited to join sports teams. Their statement also said the size of a person's waist is not necessarily an indication of fitness or of their ability to carry out the role of a police officer. No, of course it's not an indication of their ability to chase, catch and detain people in their role of a police constable. How stupid do the police think that we are? Maybe the police should have PE lessons each week. The armed forces keep fit with PT training, physical training. I don't see why the police don't incorporate some PT lessons and actually take some proactive approach to getting these fat, lazy donut munchers fit so they can do their job without bashing people's skulls in and spraying them with CS gas just so they don't have to chase them. Maybe it will also prevent police from having to come in force to deal with one person who's being arrested. Who knows, it might even free up some of the police to deal with other people's need for police when they are victims of crime. Fat fuck. Most of you will know that occasionally I will report on some scams that are being spoken about in order to help you keep your loved ones safe from being mugged off. Well, here's another. Now, this is being reported in Flintshire in high numbers, but as it's an email scam, this can obviously be something that's occurring all over the country, even in your own hometown. I do know that most of you are savvy enough not to fall for this kind of BS, but you may have loved ones that you want to warn. People in Flintshire are being warned about a scam email that is circulating locally, purporting to come from HM courts and tribunals. The email states that the receiver has an outstanding parking fine to pay, and to click on a link within the email. A spokesperson for Flintshire Trading Standards said the email states that a penalty charge notice has been issued against the recipient and requests a payment of £25. It then requests payment by clicking on a link provided in the email. And any penalty charge notices are sent either by post, by hand, or applied to your windscreen. One dside.com reader said that they received a scam email which was easily identifiable as it has a phone number on it. The email states the telephone number is currently unavailable. Leicestershire Police say that they have had reports of the email today and in their region, and a spokesman for Leicestershire Police said, please be very wary when receiving unexpected emails. Always verify the details prior to taking any action, and don't use any contact details or web links in the email you've received. We recommend opening a new internet browser window, going to the official authorised website and contacting a legitimate agency that has contacted you via telephone or email to verify the contents of your email you have received first prior to taking any action. Report any fraud and cybercrime to Action Fraud via their website, actionfraud.police.uk. What I do want to say, which is very similar to what they've just said, is that if you do get an email or a call from someone purporting to be from the government or anyone else that makes you suspicious, never click on the links available in the text or email, and never enter a URL if asked to do so on the phone from an unsolicited call. If there is a phone number, or you can find the email address of the sender of the email, there are a couple of things that you can do. The first thing I suggest is typing the phone number or email address into Google or DuckDuckGo or even any other search engine you use. But to be fair, I recommend Google for this kind of search. The chances are that other people will have been scammed or almost been scammed, but it's almost certain that someone out there will have dealt with the same number or email address at some point, and that will be detailed on the search. Never reply to the email or phone call if you miss the call. If you reply to by email, they will know that you've seen it and you'll get more emails. Unfortunately, this is the same if you simply open and read the email. So try where possible to understand that it's almost impossible for your bank, the HMRC or any other organisation to email you or text you telling you that they owe you money or you owe them money. If they are genuine companies doing it, they are not the sort of companies that you want to be engaging with anyway. So always try to delete the emails without opening them if you can. Again, I know most of you are savvy enough not to get caught out, but by knowing this particular type of scam is doing the rounds at the moment, you can at least warn your loved ones and keep them safe. Metropolitan Police Constable Amran El-Kaouny, his misconduct hearing concluded on Friday the 18th of September. El-Kaouny was subjected to a random drugs test at a police training school on the 9th of August 2019. The urine sample was sent to be tested on the 12th of August, which upon analysis indicated the presence of cannabis in his system, breaching the standards of professional behaviour in relation to discreditable conduct and fitness for duty. El-Kaouny left the police before his misconduct, and so again you already know that although these actions were proven as gross misconduct, the panel simply ruled that had he still been serving he would have been dismissed. But as he's already left, he gets away with it and is of course able to simply go rejoin another police force. Very big thank you to channel supporters one and all, especially channel patron supporters. Your support is genuinely appreciated and really goes a long way to help. And that's all I have for you today. Please like, share, comment and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, as I know many of you will. And until next time, stay safe, look after each other, film the police and other officials.
Good night, all.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you like the content and you'd like to help support the channel, you can do so. In the description of every video there are some links to ways that you're able to help support the channel so I can continue putting out content. If you're unable to help us in that way, hit that subscribe button up the top there. If you haven't already, become a subscriber. That is support enough. Share the videos, comment, like, it all helps. If you're looking for something else to watch, up top there is my latest video. Down the bottom there is a video that YouTube recommends for you.